lifted mandates aimed at curbing the pandemic. You are a doctor. You know how serious COVID is. Why not wait until more people are vaccinated and the virus is more under control there?
Well, I think the two things can happen simultaneously. And look, we've had good response to the vaccine hub that was set up in Denton County at the Texas Motor Speedway. They're doing 10,000 vaccinations a day throughout the week, and that's great news. Some additional data is coming out that a single shot may be more protective than was originally thought. So your figure of 109 million doses having been administered, I mean, that's great news for the population. That's more people are going to be a dead end as far as the virus is concerned.
So actually in Texas, only 2.8 million Texans have been vaccinated out of a population of 29 million. So do you think it would have been more prudent to wait and enforce this mask mandate until those numbers go up, until there is a better control over the virus?
Look, this last year has humbled a lot of us who think we know something about health, think we know something about policy, and think we know something about health policy. With all due respect, it might have been better to get this through the FDA a month earlier, and I do believe that was possible. At the same time, in Texas, at least a month ago, we were shut down from an ice storm. Now the governor has released the mask mandate. I think you do see people behaving responsibly. People know they're at risk. People know that they're at additional risk. They are taking precautions. So same things apply that have always applied. If you're worried about it, wear a mask, wash your hands, watch your distance.
Let's talk about people acting responsibly, because since Wednesday, obviously, we know there have been a lot of spring breakers going to travel. We've seen people, spring breakers at Galveston Beach in Texas and other places in Texas. When you see the spike, and I believe we have some pictures and some video to show of Texas there with people not masked and groups together and so forth. When you see that and there's no mask mandate and so forth, are you concerned there will be a spike after spring break?
Look, it's not, we do still have to be careful. The news that's coming out of Italy is concerning. Not quite sure why what is happening there is happening. So people do need to keep an eye on the fact that the virus has not left us. But the good news is, a year ago, no one thought we would have a vaccine, let alone 3 vaccines with 95% of protection. I mean, that's truly an unbelievable accomplishment of the men and women who put their lives on hold and develop these measures.
No doubt. It is a huge accomplishment. I want to ask you about the vaccine, though, and the hesitancy that we're seeing. According to polling and anecdotally from Governor Kemp in Georgia, that there is more hesitancy among Republicans. What is your message to them? Have you seen that in Texas? How concerned are you about that hesitancy among Republicans in particular?
Well, it's not anything new, and I do live in an area where vaccine hesitancy, even back in the days I was in practice, it was something that I recognized that perhaps our educational efforts have to be even a little bit more precise, because people do seem to ask a lot of questions. But on this one, let me just tell you, people who are listening, I've had the vaccine. I didn't break in line. I got it at the right time. My family's had the vaccine. They didn't break in line. They got it when they were called. But take the vaccine when it is your turn. That's the way we're getting beyond this thing.
So let's turn to the border now, where a new wave of unaccompanied migrant children is fueling another crisis and giving both sides of the political divide ammunition. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is bringing about a dozen GOP House members to the border in your state tomorrow. Do you see a way to get beyond the partisan finger-pointing stage and actually come up with some solution here?
Well, it's been refractory to us for a solution for a long time. In 2014 was when I first became acutely involved with what was going on the border. We had a surge of unaccompanied migrants, unaccompanied children, and of course the agency that my committee is responsible for, Energy and Commerce, we have Health and Human Services under our jurisdiction, and they, of course, have the Office of Refugee Resettlement in their organization. So these kids essentially are the responsibility of our committee and our subcommittees. Mm-hmm. It was important to me back in 2014 to make sure we were doing the proper screening exams, vaccinating the kids for usual childhood illnesses, making sure someone had a TB test before they were released with a family out in the country. None of that was happening in 2014. So I credit the folks on the Energy and Commerce Committee for allowing that and getting that to happen. Now, look, it's taken various twists and turns through various administrations. I was in Carrizo Springs down in the Del Rio sector yesterday. I'll be down on the Lower Rio Grande Valley tomorrow. It requires constant vigilance and attention. The answer, unfortunately, is not just building more beds. The answer is going to have to be to address the root causes downstream. What is causing the influx of people into this country? Is it simply traffickers and coyotes monetizing United States policy in their neighborhoods, or is it truly fearing for someone's safety? And we do have to address that. We do have to really get on top of that, and that should be a bipartisan effort. It's costing an enormous amount of money.